Hey, welcome. So today we're gonna make some brownies and they're so delicious. They're so easy, but they're so bad for you. So I actually use the Rodelle recipe right off of the thing, and I buy it at the cocoa at Costco. So that's where I get my recipe, and the method is so brilliant. So I'm just gonna bring it to life for you. So there is a cup and 2 tablespoons of butter in here. And to that, this is the part that's so awful, is we're going to add, oh, I forgot my leveler. Hold on, I'm gonna show you some of the tips for success. If you're not a baker, we're gonna make you a baker today. All right, so I have my big tub of sugar here. Let me bring it over so it's just a little easier to see. Here we go. Okay, so I need 2 and 2¼ cups. All right, so leveling. So there's 1 cup. Now here's the thing, if I shook, that's, pretty much it. Watch how much comes off when I level it. So it's a lot. Okay, 2, that's why I always use a leveler. And that's why you use dry and wet measures differently. Okay, 2¼ Okay, here we go. So what's cool about this is that you melt these slowly together. So I'm just gonna put it under low heat right now and get the rest of my stuff ready. Okay. So what we're gonna do, because we're gonna melt it and we need the sugar to dissolve, but we want the butter to not boil. Because here's the thing, here's your little tip for success. If the butter gets too hot, it's actually going to prevent the sugar from melting. And you're gonna end up with like crystals, not crystals, but it's like sand and oil, and it's just nasty. And what we are looking for is it to dissolve and to be like almost like a paste. I think that is a word that describes it. Okay, so we need to add 5 eggs once this is melted and slightly cooled, and then we add our flour, soda, salt, and the last 2 ingredients. All right, so to do our eggs, always, here's a couple tips for you. Always put your eggs, do them into another container first, just in case you get a shell, and always tap on the flat edge of something. You tend to get, you don't get little tiny shards, and then you put 1 in, make sure everything's good, and do the next one. All right. And so we're gonna do all 5 of them. The thing that we wanna be careful to do is not cook the eggs with the hot butter and sugar mixture. Because then we'll end up with, see, there you go, there's a little piece of shell. It was stuck to my finger. Then we're gonna end up with little chunks of cooked egg, and you definitely don't want that. Okay, no shell in that one. There is a reason they teach you to do this, and honestly, sometimes you just live on the edge and then you regret it, because now you have eggshell in there and it's nigh unto impossible to get out. All right. Sorry, I need a little cloth hand, don't I? All right, let's put this away and that aside. So we have our eggs waiting now, and let's turn our attention to what's on the stove. So what you're gonna see is you're gonna see that it's starting to melt, and what I'm gonna be doing is stirring this so that, or just pushing some of the sugar into the melting butter and not cooking it too hot. So pretty simple, and yet kind of mission critical. So I'm gonna suggest that you pay good attention. Because the last thing you wanna do is throw out a cup of butter and 2 cups of sugar. All right, the next thing we're gonna measure is we need 3/4 of a cup of, what is this called? Cocoa. So now make sure that you have, there's different kinds of cocoa. This is the brand I told you that I buy at Costco. It's a really dark chocolate and it's very delicious. What you don't want to use is use hot chocolate powder, okay? If you're ever tempted and you don't know the difference, hot chocolate powder, like a mix, is mixed with skim milk powder and sugar, amongst other things, and it is definitely not replaceable. So do not do that at all. Like if that's all you have, you're not making brownies, okay? Unless you're gonna use a completely different recipe. Okay, so we're gonna use the leveler. So you notice that I gently spoon that in. We don't wanna pack it in, and we level it off. And we need to put that in a different container, and I didn't bring one. Hold on. Let's just use this one. All right. So 1 3/4 of a cup plus, oh yeah, here we go. Plus a tablespoon. If there's lumps, just tap it with the edge and then shake it off. And always do the flour first, because now look what I have to do is I have to wash these. Jeepers. That's not very smart. I even had that planned, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do 1/2 and 1/4. That's my quarter. Alright, well, we'll do it anyways, and we'll make a mess on the counter, it looks like. Okay, so this is really for the benefit of all of you non-bakers out there, to make sure that you level and you do this well. I'm gonna try not to get any cocoa in my flour. Okay, so that, and I need another tablespoon. So I don't have weighing instructions, otherwise I would weigh, because that is the most accurate without using all these containers. There we have it. And so the other ingredient we have is salt. So really brownies are super, there's few ingredients, but there's just a lot of sugar. And it really is an eye opener when you think, oh, that's why they taste so good. Yeah, that's why they taste so good. Okay. Butter, sugar, 5 eggs, vanilla, and then a 1/4 tablespoon of salt. That's so weird to me. Okay, hold on, I gotta stir this in. A 1/4 tablespoon. So a tablespoon is 3 teaspoons, so a 1/4 of 3 is 3/4. So I need 1/2 and a 1/4. There we go. And then what we'll do is we're gonna stir this ourselves. So the thing that you want to do is get rid of the lumps. You want to integrate the salt, evenly. And I'm not going to use my hand mixer for this because I put it in a glass bowl. And you should never use a hand mixer in a glass bowl. Did you know that? This is why we have our beautiful blue bowl. All right, so I have that already. I can put lids on things. And now what we'll do is get ready for the walnuts. Okay, so those are going to be one of our additions. And if you don't like walnuts, first of all, make sure that, I say this all the time, so pardon me if you know me well, never use rancid walnuts. If they stink, if they reek, and if you hate them, they're rancid. There's a lot of oils in walnuts, and if they're not really fresh, they go rancid quickly, and they're awful. But fresh ones are delicious. This is really messy. And they have so much flavor when you toast them. And because they're gonna get baked, that does not mean that they're gonna get toasted. So we need to toast them in advance and then chop them. Okay, so let me show you the progress on this. You can see that I have some, what's it called? all the butter, like all the sugar is in liquid. So I'm gonna stir because the pot is hot. I really don't need this to get hot, but what I do need is the sugar to dissolve. And because there's actually water in butter, that will help my sugar dissolve. And I'm just gonna keep stirring until I can't hear the grains of the sugar anymore. So right now I can still hear, you can hear them. So I'm just gonna keep stirring. And what I'm also looking for, you can see there's some, still some butter that's not fully mixed in, but I'm looking for smooth here because this is where that really gooey and chewy texture to the brownies comes in. This is where it comes from, is this step. So don't rush it and give it time. Like stirring will help it. Also just some time because the water actually has to be able to absorb some of the sugar or something like that. I don't know. What do I know? I am not a scientist. A food scientist? I'm no kind of scientist. I'm just like somebody who likes food. Okay, so let's just, you can see how beautiful this is. I hope you can. So when I spoon it, you can see it's almost like coming as one thing, you know? So we'll just let that rest for a bit and we are going to prep the walnuts. Okay, so the air fryer is fabulous for toasting any kind of nuts, and so let's grab the lifter. So we unlatch on the right side, pull it forward, and then move it to the right to pull it out of the little catcher on the left side. And then to release it, you just grab it with this and then use the elbow to pop it open. And then what we'll do is, it says to use 3/4 of a cup, and I have more than I need. So that'll be good for now, and I'll just set this aside. And what we're going to do is chop these. So I love to use the food chopper for this. Having a garbage right under where you work is very smart. If you're kitchen designing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is pop a few of those in there. And then chop them. And what you can you smell this right now? Oh, it's just so good. Y'all, you have to do this. Family asked me, why do you say y'all? I'm not from Texas. I totally am not. I love the expression. So what's gonna happen is this is gonna add so much flavor to the brownies. It's gonna add a little bit of texture, and it's not gonna be rancid. Isn't that just like a wonderful thing? So putting it in the flour at this point will help suspend it, supposedly. Not terribly worried about that. Let's check this out. Oh, and my oven, just 350. Let's see how we're doing. I can still hear a little bit of sugar. Hear that? But like, look. It's so, yum. It seems to me that whenever I do make this, I always feel like, okay, I'm close enough. And I might be close enough. It's not quite. So other than this, you know, I think the other things that I love about making brownies is there's two ways I like to do brownies, and I don't know, I'm curious to know what you think, and if you have ideas, we'd love to share and learn from each other. I love using the brownie bite pan from Paper Chef. So this makes little wee squares. You can see the size of them. And this is 24 in one pan. And you get those nice crunchy corners, and then this, you get this beautiful gooey, chocolatey, dense, really flavorful stuff going on. The other way I like to do it is do it in a big pan, like a 9x13. Use parchment, so it's a bit tricky to get it in the bottom and to stay in the bottom, but anyways, you can do that. And then when you lift it out, you have this sheet, and then to use cookie cutters or you know, any shapes, and then cut them out. And they're so cute. I mean, you can cut them in diagonals, you know, just, you know, use a nice sharp knife. So much fun. Okay, so the other thing we want to do is let this cool slightly. I'm going to take the temperature of it. I don't know exactly what temperature the eggs are going to cook at. This says it's 115 degrees, 18, 121 degrees, 125, 9, 131. It's maybe a little hot to throw in eggs. So one of the things to do would be to cool this down, you know, in the fridge, or put it in a different pan that it can cool faster in. Yeah. Okay, let me not forget to put the vanilla in here. Like a lot of vanilla. Oh, like, yeah, that's about as good as the vanilla as we want. The vanilla probably will help it dissolve as well. And it smells delicious. So again, the quality that you use is going to make a big difference. Again, using real vanilla versus artificial vanilla, it's a noticeable difference. And some people actually prefer artificial because that's what they're used to. So if that's your love, go for it. Mine is the pure thing. It smells so good. Okay. It's so tempting to want to put that in there. Yeah, my pan is a bit hot. It's not bad. So maybe what I'll do is add a little, you know how they teach you to do. We'll live on the wild side today. So the reason I'm using this beater, so this is the Flex Plus, which is like having a cordless drill in your kitchen. It runs 3 different appliances. Snap the battery on. These ones are for incorporating dry and wet, and not the whisk. The whisk is going to aerate. For this, we do not want to aerate. We just want to mix. So we want to get those. It barely even beats the eggs. It's so funny, like a full egg yolk can go right through it. That's how large this is. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is bring the temperature of the eggs up slowly so I don't cook them. I'll add a little more, and then pretty soon I'll just add the rest. I can't even tell because you can't feel the temperature through the plastic bowl. But there's a reason there's a plastic bowl. Okay, here I go. Can I hold this? No, it's not actually that hot. So you don't need to do it this way. I'm just doing it this way for the camera, really. And I'm trying to hurry it up because I have really poor video editing skills and I don't know how to edit a video and to splice it. It's the honest truth. Honest to goodness truth. Okay, I might be cooking these eggs. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dry in because that will cool it down and I'm not going to be in danger of cooking my eggs. All right, you can see it's doing all the stirring for me, so I don't have to do that. And then I'm going to stop this in 1 second and scrape out the rest of that put in the last ingredient. Alrighty, so I thought this would be fun to do brownies in time for, you know, any occasion that you want, whether it's Valentine's Day, Brownie Day, you know, whatever, or it's just because you have a hankering for them because they're just so delicious, which they truly are. Okay, the thing about these scrapers is that they're a spoon and a scraper all in one. And don't you love this pan? My word, I love this pan. So this is the stock pot from our cookware set. And it is beautifully nonstick, lifetime warranty. No rivets inside. It just basically wipes out. It's like self-cleaning cookware. It's so easy. All right, our last ingredient is going to be some chocolate chips. Half a cup. And then we're gonna prep our pan. Get this going. So these beaters will take on this task. It's, you know, it's fairly heavy, thick. You can see that it's, I hope that you can see. If I can pick this up in one hand. It's a really thick batter. And I want to stop before I get air in it. I do not want air in it. So there is no air in this. But that is going to be the thing we love the most about it. You know what that's for. Okay, so then the next little step we're going to do is search for, here we found it, this, and we're going to put a little titchy bit of oil in each one, just to make them super easy to release, and these bake beautifully. So you can see I just have a little bit, and this is just a vegetable canola oil actually. Yeah, not vegetable oil, canola oil. Doesn't matter, either would be fine. You just want a non-flavored oil that can take some heat and not add any additional flavors to it. We want to stir it around, and then we're going to scoop it in to these little wells. That's how I'm going to do mine today. And the size of scoop that I want, I believe, is the middle size. So it's a couple tablespoons, and it fills it just to the top. If I get any spill any on the sides, I will just wipe it before I put it in the oven. And that is, you can see how like gooey they are before you even put them in. So I'll just go through the ingredients one more time. So it was a cup of butter plus an additional 2 tablespoons. So a cup and 2 tablespoons of butter. It was double that of sugar. So 2 cups and a 1/4 cup of sugar. I used an organic cane sugar. It's because of what I use in the house. And then some 3/4 of a cup plus a tablespoon of each flour and cocoa. Like not hot chocolate mix, but pure cocoa. And the cocoa that I use is really dark. You can just see, but it's so delicious. All right, then we do like 1/2 tablespoon or so of vanilla, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We did 3/4 of a cup of walnuts, but I toasted them and finely chopped them for additional flavor and a little texture and crunch. And then a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So if you don't like or can't eat nuts, then you could certainly just add more, what's it called? More chocolate chips. Another thing that you could do, which is really fun, is you could put a little cookie in the bottom and then fill it. and the cookie will soften into like a little cake consistency. Or you could put a little bit of brownie batter and then put a piece of your favorite chocolate bar and then top it with brownie batter. So it's like a little hidden treat inside. I mean, how you get a treat on a treat, I don't know, but here we go. We're gonna wipe this off. Hold on. Okay, can I do this? And this is just simply so that it doesn't burn on the top. Not that it really is a problem, but you know, I'm just being a neat freak, I think. Oh, I smeared it. There we go. Good enough. All right, so in the oven these go, and they take, let's see. It says for 9 by 13 to do for do not over bake. Can I read this? 35 minutes. So I'm gonna try 15 minutes. See how that goes. They'll start to look firm on the edges. I'll use my cake tester to know that they're done. And then the rest of them are gonna go in a stoneware pan. And I'm going to bake them as a sheet and cut them out. So there you go. Brownies that I think you're gonna be so proud to serve. I do recommend that you freeze them so you don't eat them all in one sitting. They're really good from frozen as well, and they'll stay in the freezer in a nice Ziploc bag or a sealed container for a couple of months if they last that long in your house. Thank you for hanging out with me.